Hey guys, welcome to the next section of Getting Started with Spring 5 course. And in this section, we're going to overview how actually we can implement REST API based applications using Spring MVC. Let's take a look what we are going to learn through this section. First of all, we will try to understand what is actually the REST and how Spring supports it. Then we're going to implement the REST controller as a basis for implementation of RESTful API using Spring MVC, and of course we need to understand how actually exceptions in the RESTful applications should be handled by the means provided by Spring framework. So let's start with overviewing what is actually REST stands for and what Spring does to provide support for this. So what is actually RESTful? RESTful stands for Representation State Transfer. And this is actually an architectural style, which provides all constraints to the architecture, which is defined as a client-server architecture and designed to use stateless communication protocol. As we know, HTTP is a stateless communication protocol, and data in the REST between client and server is exchanged in the standardized interface over the standardized protocol. So in our case, protocol is HTTP and the interface is URL and the body of the message, which might be in JSON or XML formats. And data in this architectural style is actually transferred and accessed by the unified identifiers, which is a URIs. Let's also take a look at principles that are behind the RESTful API. First of all, it's a resource identification through URIs, which provide the global address and space for resource and service discovery. The second principle is a uniform interface. Basically, any resource can be manipulated using the fixed set of create, read, update, delete operations. Usually put HTTP method is used to create a new resource. Then delete is used to remove this resource. Get HTTP method usually used to retrieve this resource by unified reference. Then post HTTP method usually used to transfer the new state of the resource. Then, the next principle implies that self-descriptiveness of the messages that are transferred through this RESTful architectural style. And usually, simple formats is used to transfer data within RESTful architecture, which is HTML or XML or plain text or JSON. The next principle is a stateful interaction through hyperlinks, which means that by default, as we know, HTTP is stateless protocol, but we still need to transfer some state, and state actually can be encoded within the responses that are used usually in the RESTful architectural styles, which means that imagine the situation where we have categories, right, and articles. And usually categories have articles. And by accessing some category, we can see the links to articles that are assigned to this category. And then by navigating to the article URL, we can see that this article is actually assigned to some category. So we can navigate back to the category and later navigate to the next article. And all this is implemented in standardized way. So how actually RESTful and Spring MVC are related to each other? And this is pretty simple. Spring MVC provides the background or foundation to implement RESTful style applications. Under the hood, we have a Spring MVC that is slightly tuned to provide the RESTful style of APIs. We have a dedicated annotation REST controller in order to mark that this concrete controller is implied to be implementing the RESTful style of API. Basically, a REST controller is a combination of the controller annotation and a response body annotation, which affects the behavior of this controller by default. Then we have HTTP message converter interface and implementations that are providing the encoding of the messages that exchanged by the controllers that are implementing the RESTful style of architecture. Usually these messages encoded in JSON or XML formats, and according to MIME types of these messages, HTTP message converters, concrete implementations of this interface are used to map from the string into that is represented in a JSON or XML into concrete objects that are expected by the controller's methods.